Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Strategic Planning Community Information Session. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm John Bombardier, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. With us tonight we have several members of our Board of Education, our Superintendent, Dr. Micah, our High School Principal, Mr. Eiler, our Cliffwood Principal, Mr. Van Horn, and our Teachers Union President, Mr. Casey Baroka. So thank you, and thank you to all of our community for coming out tonight to learn about the strategic planning process and how you can become involved. To start, we have with us Kathy Weinkoff from the New Jersey School Boards Association. She's going to be facilitating the presentation tonight that will provide an overview of the process and how you can become involved in the process as we lead up to the January community information session. So prior to getting started with the presentation by Kathy, I wanted to provide a brief overview of the work that was done from the last strategic planning process that we had. So we started this process in 2016, and through that process we had our first strategic plan with New Jersey School Boards. Part of the process that you're going to hear about tonight is going to be the development of specific goals and objectives, and that's going to be part of the planning weekend at the end of January. So I wanted to show you, kind of starting with the end in mind, some of the goals and objectives that resulted from the last strategic planning session and some of the steps that we took as a district based on those goals and objectives. So once again, members of our Board of Education, many of which are with us tonight, our central office, administrative team. These are the current Board of Education goals for the 21-22 school year, and you can see there, goal number 1 is to engage in the strategic planning renewal process. This is the renewal process because we had engaged in this, like I said, in 2016, and that is one of our priorities for this upcoming year. So from our strategic plan in 2016, we were able to identify specific areas throughout the process. So as you're creating goals and objectives, you synthesize those into kind of overarching goals and objectives. So from the work, we identified goals related to curriculum instruction, school climate, finance and facilities, and community engagement and communication. When we started this work in 2016, equity and diversity was a common thread that we wanted to ensure was throughout. And you're going to see some of that in the highlights of the work that we've done over the past 5 years. This is our calendar, which Kathy is going to review with you in just a moment for strategic planning. We are here tonight on September 30th at the orientation workshop for the community. Yes, so after this presentation, I have a link open to our website. If you go to the main page of our website and you scroll down, you're going to see the strategic planning participation sign up, and that's going to have an opportunity for you to elect to participate in one of the 2 main committees, which is State of the School Committee or State of the Community, which you're going to hear about in just a moment. As well as, if you can't be part of a committee, you can learn how you can be part of the strategic planning weekend. So that's the RSVP that's on our website. So from the process that we initiated in 2016, curriculum and instruction was the overarching area, and then we had 3 goals: increasing achievement, develop and implement meaningful professional development, enhance district-wide technology. Then we had an area of culture and climate to promote a positive, supportive, and safe school climate that embraces kindness, diversity, individuality, and respect for all. Community involvement with the goal of increasing parent and community involvement in the school district, and finance and facilities to explore cost-efficient methodologies to protect long-term investments. So a few of the highlights as we look at goal. I don't know why it's already on. Goal 1, adoption of a new literacy program. 2, section of American Sign Language as a world language offering. New senior seminar capstone course, which is a diploma program from the College Board based on a 2-year-long AP courses, AP seminar, and AP research. Free SAT and TSAT. A new preschool curriculum, updated pre-K to 12 curriculum resources, and increased enrichment for all opportunities. One of our objectives that was part of our phase was researching and planning the implementation of a STEAM engineering elective for students at the middle school. Part of the work that came about from our strategic planning process was the creation of a new STEAM Experience 1. The following year, we created STEAM Experience 2. We now have a science club, a science competition team, and a STEAM or STEM and a technology club. So this is able to illustrate some of the actionable steps that came about from the initial strategic planning process. Then looking at, still under the umbrella of increasing achievement, develop and implement interventions for struggling students to ensure mastery of foundational basic skills, to reduce the number of students needing remediation. We have our preschool expansion aid, and we're able to offer full-day preschool, adoption and implementation of iReady diagnostic and online instructional supports for students across K-5 in ELA and math, adoption of teaching strategies goal to inform instruction through embedded authentic observation-based assessments beginning in preschool, district-wide PD focused on Tier 1 interventions, which are interventions that we want the homeroom teacher to be able to implement in the classroom to reduce the need for students to be pulled out from more targeted and more intense remediation. So the goal is to provide professional development so teachers have the tools and the strategies to implement and support students within the regular classroom with the goal of reducing the need for additional pull-out. Expanded Title III, which is our ESL federal grant, after school and summer programs offerings. We were able to obtain school-wide Title I status at Cliffwood and Lloyd Road, which gives us flexibility in how our funds are utilized. So rather than being a targeted school where we have to use funds for identified students, the Title I funds can be used for all students across the school. And through those programs, we were able to do programs such as One School, One Book, Title I Family Nights, Title I Tutorial, and other events that need additional federal funds. A comprehensive summer program for pre-K to 12 students, and expanded tutorial programs and structured homework club. Another objective was to provide opportunities for students to explore their personal passions. We've implemented speech and debate clubs at Lloyd Road in the middle school. So we have a filter that goes up to the high school where they had speech and debate, student participation in engineering club, reporters, peer buddies, peer leadership, expanded club offerings, including music and chorus clubs, library club, garden club, STEAM and STEM clubs, art, chess, board games, environmental club, mock trial, coding and design, literary art, and magazine, just to highlight a few of the new clubs. This year, we were fortunate enough through a grant through the state to bring in esports gaming to our middle school and our high school. Introduction of our junior civic leadership at the middle school, and we just had our club rush at the high school this past week, and with the goal of really giving students a taste of what is out there so they can explore their passions. The next objective was to provide all students with 21st century college and career and technical assistance. We've established here at the high school the official career and technical ed program, supply chain management, and that has also given the high school here additional Perkins funding that you get when you get a career technical education program, as well as partnerships with Rutgers, Rowan, and Brookdale Community College. Another goal was to develop and implement targeted professional development. We've established a digital learning hub where we're able to record our professional development and have it housed in our learning hub. Tier 1 classroom interventions, as I spoke about. This summer, we were able to provide professional development through our grants to over 50 teachers focused on Lyndon Bell, which is reading comprehension, Gordon Gillingham, phonics based, Wilson reading, Seeing Stars for math supports, Google Apps for education, unpacking standards, differentiating instruction, co-teaching, diversity, equity, inclusivity, and supporting English language learners. And this is just a snippet to highlight some of this work, but it is certainly not an exhaustive list. And each year we approve our district professional development plan. So this was board approved this past August. So looking at our goals of understanding and really having teachers and students understand the new expectations of the student learning standards, understanding how to utilize and maximize the new implementation of mind literacy, implement Tier 1 classroom interventions, integrate and promote diversity, inclusivity, and equity, and focus on restorative practices, social emotional learning, mental health and wellness, and also specific PD for administrators focused on the development of targeted strategies, focused on diversity, equity, and access. Another goal that was developed as part of the process was technology programs and enhancing technology. So we're officially one-to-one, and through a lot of hard work, through a lot of people in different departments, we were able to bring Chromebooks to every student that was in need. And now any student that needs a Chromebook, we are fully one-to-one in terms of our device ratio to students. iReady diagnostic and instructional pathways, so students have 24/7 access to an online platform that's personalized to meet their individual based on a diagnostic. our Linkit data management system, our frontline system for special education, school-based technology committees, and technology needs assessment that was conducted. So each school has a specific technology lead to support teachers in using technology. So it's great to bring in technology, but then we need to make sure that the supports are there. School technology leads for teacher support. We went through the Future Ready New Jersey process and we submitted for each of our schools, and that was a good process because it involved a needs assessment to look at our technology, look at our programs, and look at our infrastructure. And we have district-wide technology committees and vetting of online programs. Another goal of part of the initial process was enhancing technology access. So as we look at, we surveyed our pre-K to 12 students, determined technology needs during the pandemic. We provided issued Chromebooks to any student in need. We expanded our Altice wireless internet to service families in need and purchased Kajit hotspots in areas that were unserviceable provider. And then we have the FCC broadband benefits to continue to support families in need of Wi-Fi. Another goal was enhancing district-wide technology, so we have worked to provide rigorous, high-quality online resources. When we were in hybrid learning since March 2020, we've learned a lot over the past 16 or more months now. So the following slides illustrate some of the programs that we were able to bring in, including Google Classroom, which is a learning platform that was instrumental when we had to go to all virtual instruction. Teachers were able to interact with students in a virtual setting, post assignments, grades, and provide that one-to-one personalized feedback and learning. At the younger grades, Google Classroom we found wasn't meeting those needs, so we were able to bring in Seesaw, which is a designed for lower elementary students in pre-K and 1, similar to Google Classroom, promotes interaction between the student and the teacher, and is one stop for all of the assignments and needs of the students. It's a two-way platform. The teachers and the students and parents have access to. We were able to bring in and purchase Google Enterprise. That gave us the ability to have Google Meets and breakout rooms where we could put students into groups in a virtual setting and track attendance. And then it gave us the ability in a virtual setting to provide formative assessments. We could poll the students and do an informal poll, questions and answers, noise cancellation, live streaming, and we were able to archive those recordings, which were instrumental when we were implementing professional development that we wanted to upload to our digital learning hub. So we were able to record those so teachers have on-demand access to the professional development resources. iReady, our online program for literacy and math. IXL, that's used at the middle school and high school. This supports, once again, literacy and math, as well as world languages, social studies. It allows the students to create goals based on their Linkit or their iReady performance, and then once their goals are created, they use IXL each day to target those specific standards and skills, and then they update their goals accordingly as they're progressing. Linkit, which is our data management system, which is our benchmarking system that's now used in grades 6 through 12 for ELA and math, which is aligned to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards to give that assessment and formative data to the teachers to drive instruction. Pear Deck, an interactive presentation tool to engage students. Edpuzzle, a video engagement tool. And then other programs such as Cami, Gizmos, which are online simulations, BrainPop, which are video-based instruction, Uzella, STEM Scopes, RazKids, as additional examples of some of the online programs. Another goal was to increase parent and community involvement in the Mount Aberdeen Regional School District. As part of that, one objective was the establishment of a parent university where we could push out parent workshops and have them housed in one location, which we have on our website. We expanded mental health workshops for staff, parents, and community members, Title I family nights, ESL family nights, literacy and technology parent workshops, special education workshops, redesigned district website. If you go onto our district website, you're going to see it's been completely redesigned with the goal of giving members of the community information that they need in a way that's easy to access. Community screenings, we did 3 screenings of screenagers over the last 2 years as well, and online webinars and virtual series during the COVID pandemic. Another objective was community partnerships, and we used TCNJ at the initial rollout of the Next Generation Science Standards, Monmouth Medical, YMCA, Central Jersey Mental Health Consortium, Dell Labs, and Community Career Affairs. And then additional, we are members of, we partner with Monmouth University, also to provide professional development as also a community partnership. We are members of the Principals Academy, which provides professional development to our building principals and assistant principals, our superintendent's academy, social justice academy, special services academy, and the Central Jersey Consortium for Excellence and Equity, which also has a student component, and next month some of our students from the middle school and high school will be involved in a virtual session there as well. Brookdale Community College, and we have dual credit programs, and of course our Keys Academy of Recovery High School. We partner with Rutgers University for professional development of restorative practices, and Rowan University as part of the implementation of tomorrow's teachers. The next area that we looked at was maintaining a healthy, supportive environment, cohesive relationships, and an inclusive environment. Introduction of the Sandy Hook Promise Start with Hello program at the middle school, designations as No Place for Hate Schools, morning meetings and mindfulness across K to 5, daily morning meetings, social emotional learning activities as well as mindfulness, equity committees at the district level and school level, active participation in concerned citizens, our student equity leaders, establishment of a district-wide PTO, monthly discussions with the superintendent, and participation in events such as Madawan and Aberdeen Days. Another objective was to develop and learn programs for social emotional learning. We have a partnership with the YMCA for counseling, the Mental Health Association, ESS, peer buddies and mentoring programs, our child assault prevention program, and expanded community-based instruction opportunities. And then looking at facilities and finance, the overarching goal was to explore cost-effective methodologies to protect long-term investments, and the objectives that were developed as part of that process include diversifying funding, balancing financial needs, a 1-to-1 computer ratio, which you can see there is something that we were able to provide to all of our students, improving cleanliness and repairs, and increasing transportation capacity. And then just some of the highlights: replacement of the rubberized flooring and lamps, improvement of air quality, upgraded HVAC systems, new security systems, new administration buildings purchase and renovation for the fall and winter of 21-22, LED lights. We also have a turf and track replacement that is taking place as we speak at the high school, and blue cleaning technology. So that provides a quick overview of the work that was done based on our last strategic plan and the goals and objectives. So you can hopefully see how that comes to fruition. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Weinkoff with the New Jersey School Boards, and she's going to walk you through the process that we're going to be undertaking now as part of the review process. While I have this up here, I just wanted to show you very quickly. So this is our district website, and as you scroll to the bottom of our district website, you're going to see across here, one of the banners is going to be our strategic planning calendar. And right here is our strategic planning application form you're going to hear about in just a minute. And this is really what we're asking for the community to fill out if they're interested in participating. And you're going to see here they can serve on one of the committees that you're going to hear about in just a moment, State of the Schools or State of the Community Committee, any committee on which you need help. Or just noting that you're able to attend the Strategic Planning Conference at the end of January. So this is locally on our district website, as well as the Strategic Planning Calendar. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kathy to walk you through the process. There we go. All right.
Okay. So thank you, John, and welcome everybody for attending. I do have to say, I was very privileged the last time to be able to lead you through the process. And what's really nice for me is I came in 2016, we put the plan together, but then seeing all of the accomplishments that John has just highlighted that has happened as a result of your strategic plan. And that's why we really want the public to be involved in the process, and for John to give you the update to let you know that what we come up with during our planning process, the district does take it very seriously and rolls out initiatives and actions that can carry forward with the work that we do during our strategic planning weekend. So we started this process of the strategic plan renewal more than a year and a half ago. And I came in, I did a community presentation. We even got as far as I trained the state of the school and state of the community groups, and they were going to start working on the development of those two reports. And then all of a sudden everything came to a screeching halt. So rather than moving forward and doing things virtually, we all decided that really the face-to-face interaction and having conversations at the table with people are so important that we really put the process on hold. So what I'm going to talk to you about briefly really is about what strategic planning is, the advantages of participating in strategic planning, and then how you can be part of the process, and then answer any questions should you have questions. So when we embark on strategic planning, it is really the opportunity to create a district-wide vision and mission that carries your district through all of the work that gets done. From the work that the Board of Education does, from the work that your administrators do, to the work that happens in the classroom. And we really hope that the students then embody that mission that we have established through the planning process. Now, in the initial rollout of the strategic plan was a little more comprehensive. The renewal, we don't get as involved. What we will do is we will look at the existing mission statement and make a determination as to whether we need to adjust it, and we will do that. When we met in 2016, we created belief statements for the district. We will review those. If they still embody the beliefs and core values that we have for the Matawan-Aberdeen Regional School District, we'll reaffirm those, or we can make changes to those. The major difference that is happening in this renewal versus our renewals that I do in other school districts is that we are reconvening the state of the schools and state of the community reports. And the reason why we're doing that is there have been a lot of changes here in your community since 2016. I even see them as I'm driving through both of your communities going into other districts. I see a lot more homes coming on board, and Route 34 is getting very developed, which was not the case in 2016, and definitely wasn't the case whenever my boys attended St. John Vianney High School. So it's changed very drastically. So as we embark on the process, strategic planning is really going to answer the three questions that are here. We always start out with, where are we now? And our where are we now will start with the report and the actions that John just referenced with the accomplishments from the last strategic plan. We are going to redo or update your state of the school and state of the community reports. That's going to be part of where we are now. And then we will come together for the planning weekend that was referenced for at the end of January. And that will answer the question, where do we want to go? Or where do we want to be? Where do we see the Matawan Regional School District over the next 3 to 5 year period? And I say 3 to 5 years because I do have to applaud the administrative team and the board, because you were able to accomplish the actions in your last strategic plan in 4 years. So you were ahead of the curve before the pandemic started. And then, how are we going to get there? After we have our planning session, then what we will do is develop action teams that are going to create action plans based on the activities and the outcomes that we end up with on our planning session. So we have advantages of strategic planning. What we really want it to be is to be proactive, we want it to be creative, and we want it to be innovative. So one of the things that we talk about as we're in the planning session is, as we go through our visioning exercise, if this would be the perfect and ideal world where money, resources are not a problem, what would you like to see happen in your school district? And then based on that, we sit back and we try to figure out how can we get pieces of this ideal Matawan Aberdeen that we would like for our students to have as outcomes for their school. I talked about it being directed by the mission statement that we have here in the district. The one thing we become creative about and try to find different ways to do things is to be able to find ways to utilize the limited resources that we have here in our district. And those resources are not just money resources, they're people resources, they're time resources. And so how best can we utilize those resources that we have? For the board, for the administration, it really is an ongoing planning cycle. Because once the goals are established, those are the goals that the superintendent then, it becomes part of his evaluation that the Board of Education does on an annual basis. So that piece helps in the planning process. It helps the board and the administration with multiple plans that they have here in the district. Definitely their long-range financial plan, their long-range facilities plan, technology plan, their curriculum cycle. So this kind of blends in to all of the plans. John referenced the professional development plan for the staff members. That gets incorporated in here based on our outcomes from our planning session. We hope that it increases communication. We want to be able to communicate out the things that are happening through the strategic planning process, what we're able to accomplish, what maybe we're moving forward with but a little bit slower, but to be able to communicate out to the community and all of the stakeholders about the progress with that strategic plan. And it is a time for the community to actually have active participation in the district planning cycle. It is the one time where the board really gives up having their hands only, along with the superintendent, in the planning for your district. They are asking you to come in and for you to help them determine where you would like to see your district over the next 5 years. We talked a little bit about why do we do this. I mean, we have really some changes here in your district. Could be enrollment is increasing. You know, it could be the makeup of your families are changing. It could be financial resources within the community are changing. Some of it is, as I said, you know, are there more people in your community that don't have children in school? Or are you getting a lot of people moving into your community who have students that are coming to your schools? And believe it or not, that cycle is very cyclical. My community where I live in, when I moved there 30 years ago, everybody had kids. Now I no longer have kids in the school. People who have been in my neighborhood for a long time, selling their homes, and lo and behold, they're selling them to people that have 2, 3, and 4 children. So the district had to plan as we were booming, what were we going to do? When the enrollment dropped off, what are we going to do? And then as our enrollment starts to increase, we have to plan for that. Oh, I want a couple. See, I did just the same thing. I was hoping I was talking that fast. I talked about the economic structure, the educational levels. For you, this one is a big one. Is there competition for your schools, especially your high school district? So, are you seeing a large influx of your students leaving here and going out to the academies? And what can you do to keep those students here in your school district? That becomes a big part of our planning process, and I did talk about the resources. And so if we see all of these changes going on, then we really know that strategic planning is something that we should move forward with. And your board has determined that really for them, this really is the best way to be able to move forward as far as the planning cycle. And as I said before, we really want to dream big. What is it that we would really like to see in our school? We want to set goals. So we will end up our weekend planning session with broad goal areas, and then we will have goals. And we will do an exercise where we can come up with some strategies to actually implement and move forward with those goals. So our components of strategic planning, as I mentioned before, the big piece here is the commitment that runs across the bottom and up the side of our pyramid, and that really is the commitment of the Board of Education to move forward with the items that come out of the strategic plan. And I'm really hopeful that based on the report that John gave us, that you will see that this Board of Education, this administrative team, takes that very seriously. And they develop, they implement, and they communicate out on those goals that we had established back in 2016. So as we move through the process, the information phase here will be the creation of those two reports, the State of the School and State of the Community report. Those, I think I'm coming in November, I think it is, to actually train the two groups on what it is that we would like to see as a final document. We will start with the State of the School and State of the Community report that was developed at the last strategic plan. We have something that's really good. We don't need to reinvent it, but what we need to do is to look at that and update the information that is contained within those two reports. Then, the strengths and challenges, the vision, the goal areas, and the strategies, that will take place during that weekend planning session in January. It will be a Friday night, and it will be a Saturday. Saturday, I would say like 2 o'clock. There will be another field service representative with me. I do have with me tonight Michelle Williams. She is brand new. She just started at the association on Monday, so she's going to be shadowing Marianne Friedman and I through the process. Marianne wasn't here the last time we did strategic planning. I think Gwen Thornton was here with me, and Mary Gassman, and believe it or not, you were my very first in-district visit after I had just recovered from a bilateral knee replacement. So I got well enough to be able to come and spend time with my friends here in Baltimore and Aberdeen. And then the action plans will be a separate group team that will take our action plans and create them. All of our work from the weekend, the goals and the strategies, and they will put together the action plans. That will also be a separate training that I will be doing with you. So we talk about accountability, and some of that comes from, and I know it has been done here in your district, but ideally you're getting an annual State of the Strategic Plan report. And that is really, it won't start until next September. Probably that will be the beginning implementation of our strategic plan. It would be the following September that you should see your first annual State of the Strategic Plan report. And really what that is inviting all of you who have participated in the process back, either at board meeting, to get an update on the status. And there we'll find out here is what we worked on. This is what we've accomplished. This is what we're continuing to work on. And if for some reason there is something in the strategic plan that you're not able to move forward with, then the administrative team will let you know we're not able to move forward with this action, and here's why. So that you are aware that they really did try to implement as much as they could, but if there's something there that's not able to move forward, they let you know, and then they let you know why. And there could be a whole host of reasons why that could potentially happen. Some districts will actually link strategic planning items to the agenda. So meaning, if the board is going through their board meeting and under finance, there's an action item and it may say underneath it, refer to strategic plan goal number 1, objective 2, so that the board and the community know that this item that they are approving comes directly from the strategic plan. And then for there to be updates to the board at least quarterly, so that the board is aware of the status of the strategic plan. And some superintendents include that as part of their superintendent report. So there's multiple ways for them to communicate out what the status of that strategic plan is, and to let you know that they are actually taking all of the work that you did at that planning session at the end of January, and you're moving it forward. So now comes the good part, because I'm not going to let anybody out here until you all volunteer to do something. We want you to participate. So we have our State of the Schools and State of the Community report that is directly tied to where are we now. So those two reports, okay, the State of the School report is generated from all information that is here within your school district. And you're going to talk about strengths, areas of concern that the committees have come up with through their investigation. And it really ties into all of the educational pieces here within your school district. Your educational program, human resources, community engagement pieces, your technology, your facilities, all of that, and all of that information is gathered from here inside the district. And then we have our State of the Community report, and that information comes all from outside the district, talking about demographics, looking to see, does the district, when was the most recent demographic study done by the district? And what does that information tell us about the enrollment numbers that are going to be happening here in our district, and how we may have to plan for that? Community factors. What kind of groups do you have within your communities that eventually you can go to and ask them to support what's going on here in your schools? The other thing, funding, and funding is always a huge issue no matter what school district you go to. And are there some ways, creative ways, for us to get additional types of income and revenue into our school? Then we have the Planning Council Conference, and that's our weekend planning session. As I said, it takes place on a Friday evening. We usually come together, have a nice start off with a nice dinner. Our State of the School and State of the Community will give us a brief overview of their reports. We will ask that those reports go out to all of our weekend participants about a week before our planning session, so that anybody who is coming and participating during the weekend have the opportunity to read through those. And then, as I said before, we will look at the vision, a mission statement. We will look at your core beliefs, and then we'll move on with an exercise where we'll create a vision, we'll talk about strengths and challenges, and then come up with our goals and our strategies. So right now, we are tentatively scheduled to meet on July 21st and 22nd. I always put 3 p.m. I never go to 3 p.m., but I put 3 p.m. because when we get done at 1:30 or 2, everybody's happy. Whatever, it's the little things that make us happy. How are we going to get there? We really talk about those action plans, and really those will take our goals, our strategies, create activities, and then as part of those action plans, the teams are going to put down what are our indicators of success. How will we know if each one of the activities to accomplish this goal have been achieved? And those action teams, once I come in and I work with the action team leaders, they will meet independently. It generally takes about 2 to 3 months for those action plans to be completed. Here's our calendar as we move forward. I will be here on November 10th to train our information committees. We have our planning meeting scheduled for the 21st and 22nd. I always, and I'll turn to Michelle and say, this is the most important part of the calendar, is to schedule snow dates, because if I don't put a snow date in there, you can be guaranteed it's going to snow. So we have our snow dates. I'll be back in February to train the action team leaders. And then the action plan review meeting, which wasn't mentioned prior. What we do with that is we bring anybody who has touched the strategic plan in any way back together, and our action teams present their action plans to the group so that the group can see how our work translated over into action plans. Once we get the group to say, yes, those action plans are good, then I get them in final form. I create a report that then I have here to deliver to the board on May 23rd. And that will be asked, we will ask you all to attend that meeting, to be there when I present the the final report to the board. So the board really would like to thank all of you for coming out. I would really encourage you, please, to sign up for either the committees to do the state of the school and state of the community, even action teams, and also to come to our weekend planning session. Now, I would love for anybody who's coming to the weekend planning session to be here both Friday night and Saturday. However, I also know we are all busy. So I would say to you, if you can come Friday evening, come Friday evening. If you can only come Saturday, come Saturday. But please come and participate. The other thing that I would ask for any of you who are parents of students here in the district, please encourage your children to participate in the process. I have found over the years of doing this that the most impactful voice that we end up having at our planning sessions are our students. Because oftentimes what happens, and I'm a former board member, I sat on a board for 9 years, we make decisions at the board table and we don't always make the connectors between the decisions that we make with what is actually happening or the end results that make it to our students. And so the students come to our planning sessions with a very different and a very unique perspective as the end user. I would encourage you, if your children are only in the middle school level, please, please, please bring them with you. Sometimes those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are pretty amazing. And they have, the nice thing about them is they have no filters. And if we really want to know what's going on in our schools, we need our 5th, 6th, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, because if you ask them how things are, they'll really tell you. And so as adults, we need to be prepared to hear what it is that they are telling us. And one of the most amazing experiences that I have had over the recent years is that I went into a pre-K-8 school district to do strategic planning. And we always go into this with an idea of what we think are going to be our goals that we end up with. But I saw an amazing group of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders completely change the conversations that were happening at the table. And in essence, they were able to bring something that they really thought that was important and be able to see that happen in one of the goals that the district ended up moving forward with, that the district administrative team really hadn't considered. So that's why it is so critical that we get those students to come in and participate in the process. If you know of anybody who has graduated from the school that you think would be wonderful to participate, please have them come. For our high school kids, having them come and participate in this process always looks good on a college or a job resume application. So it is really a great process as you move forward. As John indicated, you'll be able, there are hard copies somewhere of the calendar as well as the volunteer forms. If you want them, you can take them with you. Otherwise, please access them on the website. And that's all I have to say. I don't know if anybody has any questions as we move forward.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
More of an explanation to explain to the people that are here what it means to be on a committee compared to them coming to the conference. So if they want to sign up for a committee, what they would be actually doing.
So they would be either researching, writing, editing, typing up the 2 reports that we're going to end up with. Now, if you want to be on a committee, one of those committees, whether it's the state of the school, state of the community, or the action teams, and you want to participate on the weekend, check the box for all of them. But those 2 committees will do research. They will put together the actual report. It'll get typed up, it'll get edited, and then forwarded on to John Bombardier. And then the weekend is the actual, we roll up our sleeves and work.
Okay?
Anybody else?
Just a silly kind of thing. Are you going to make this PowerPoint available?
John has it.
Awesome.
He'll put it up on the website. And I'm told, so they did ask me, please, I don't know that I want people to really watch, but if you have to, I did do a video that's really this presentation that will also be on the website. And from what I understand, we are to expect, yes, John's going to shake his head, your district did a wonderful video with your students and staff. Prior to the last strategic plan. Once a district does that, I have very high expectations that I will see the next iteration of that video. Anything else? Thank you so much. Please sign up. Come and help us